When I did my little video on Yellow London stocks, I said that I would visit Hampton Court. People said they look forward to that. So here I am at Hampton Court trying to pick my way through this beautiful building and all the wonderful brickwork, which is just on another level. Hampton Court Palace was an existing building, but it was then bought by Cardinal Wolsey, who fancied himself as a bit of a, well, basically a king in himself. He was Henry VIII's right-hand man, but he got a bit above himself. In the end, he came to a sticky end. But before that, Henry VIII kind of let him off and sent him north to York. And he just said to Cardinal Wolsey, I forgive you, but you've got to give me Hampton Court Palace as a way of showing your loyalty and your allegiance to me. You don't mess about with Henry VIII, or you didn't mess about with Henry VIII, because he's a pretty nasty character. If you upset him, very, very likely to lose your head, as some of his wives found out. But anyway, whatever the history of this place, it's an amazing, amazing building, all built no doubt on slave labour by artisans. There was actually quite a lot of German input in this. Holbein and some others, those German architects came over and designed an awful lot of this. Now this is diaper pattern brickwork. You can see a better example of it over here, which is where they put all the black bricks in. I don't know whether they're overburns or what they are, how they got the black ones, but it's quite a common Tudor pattern really. You see it quite a lot, Lambeth Palace and this Hampton Court Palace. And I always think, oh, what happens? How does a bricklayer concentrate and remember to put them in? Because you know, you're laying a course of bricks and you think, oh, I forgot, I've got to put that one in, so you've got to take them off and change them over. But if you actually look, every so often, you do see one missing. I don't know what they did, you know, if they got one wrong, whether it was just blacked up to make it look right, or whether they were all blacked up, maybe, and those ones have faded. That could be the case, couldn't it? Here, they didn't follow the pattern up. They didn't carry on to do the diamond. They just left it there. So you've got two V's and then you go up and you've got the diamond. But it's a bit hit and miss, really. Interesting. But that's a lovely example there. All this lead work was done by the plumbers. All white joints all the way out, hoppers, rainwater. And I guess they had some kind of saw pipes. We'll go and see if we can find the loo later. See where Henry VIII had a dump. That one's cast iron. I'm not sure that's original. It's got a soil stack connection up there. It looks pretty old, doesn't it? But when I got those old lead soil stacks up there, did they have internal toilets or not?
The only remains of a toilet here.
Yeah.
If you go in the Cardinal Wolsey rooms, which they've reopened, in the corner is a little room, and across is a wood with a hole in it.
Yeah.
Which would have been the toilet.
Oh, that's it. So that was a bit of luck, because I just bumped into a couple of guys who work here, and he was showing his mate round and just showing them a few of the details of the changes that they made. And one of the changes that they made, he was saying, was these windows, which are now sash windows, which may have been put in the Victorian times. And these were the original windows here with the stonework, so they've chopped that off there. And then they've built this. You can see over here that they would have been like that. They would have just continued through. Who knows why they changed those windows? Maybe to put more light in, maybe that they just fell apart and they decided that it was too much money to replace all the stonework, so they just went for the cheaper option. He was saying to me that there's so many changes. If you work here, you can see where they did this little alteration and that little alteration. But this is part of the original, the oldest part of the building that Cardinal Wolsey would have had. If you look up there, you can just see the remains of a gable end as well. So there would have been a roof going up there at that angle at some point. And maybe if that roof was there, that door wasn't. You can see the stonework hasn't fared anywhere near as well as the brickwork. Considering this is 500 years old, doing pretty well. Another obvious infill. And if you're a plumber, you might be interested in this. This is a lead rainwater hopper, and then it goes to cast iron. And if you look at the inscription on the cast iron, the fourth, so who would that have been? It's great, isn't it? Because you go down here and they've got a nice little rod in iron there, probably reasonably modern. But look at this beauty. This is a proper old lead rainwater pipe, beautifully bent. They would have done those with bobbins, which is basically where they bend the pipe and then they drag little wooden balls through on a bit of rope and just jerk them through one by one. And that reforms the bend on the lead pipe. So these bits with straight joints here, they just would have been lead burned in. That's cast. And the plates, which are coming away from the wall, need refixing. But they're inside. The actual nail for that is inside that piece of lead. So they've put the nail in, folded the lead over, and then just burnt it, welded it, tacked it back so that you can't even see the nail. So the attention to detail on all these tiny things is quite amazing. Pretty sure that Henry VIII never saw this fountain unless he had a whole group of guys pumping away under the ground. Yeah, this would have been an addition, but it's lovely, isn't it? And this is just the gauge for the steam central heating that they would have had in here. And obviously, again, that wouldn't have been in Tudor times, but that's been added at some point. And they put steam heating in, and that's the gauge just to show you how much steam pressure they've got built up in those pipes. Dodgy old stuff to work with. I never would have wanted to work with steam. And here we've got a tiny little kitchen here, and this is where they made chocolate, and they had a charcoal burner here. So that pipe that's on the outside that I just showed with the steam gauge on it is backing directly onto that. Maybe they boiled water to make the chocolate, but there it is. Their own chocolate works. No wonder Henry VIII was fat if he had an endless supply of chocolate. That is absolutely superb. All those would have been hand cut, no diamond saws then, tapered into that niche. I mean, how you begin to work that one out, I wouldn't know. And when I was making my little video in Middelburg in the Netherlands about the brickwork there, people said, Roger, you were walking over some superb stuff there and you never even mentioned it. So here we are, this is the floor around this courtyard, this inner courtyard, and it's all made with beautiful, I'm reckoning terracotta tiles. There's marble there, stone, but it's all been polished by thousands, millions and millions of feet over the years, walking across it. And when people talk about Hampton Court, they very often mention the chimneys, because there are loads and loads of chimneys here, and they're very ornate. They've got barley corn twist on them. They've got almost every chimney, not quite every chimney actually. There's a couple of straight ordinary ones there, but I think they would have been later additions. But you can see the original chimneys here were just beautiful bits of work. Now, as you can see, this is the wine cellar, and they didn't mess around with bottles. They just drunk it by the barrel, and he had up to 800 people staying at this palace, and they all needed to be fed and have some drink. Like all things that came to the king, he didn't necessarily buy them, he just took them as a birthright, and we had great exports. At one time, we were exporting loads and loads of wool to continental Europe. Although we had a go at growing grapes, we didn't really have any great success with it, so we imported wine. When the ships came up the Thames with the wine, the customs guys would check them. So out of every shipment of wine, a few barrels finished up in the king's wine cellar. So this is another addition done after Henry VIII. This is the Georgian part, I believe. So this is the royalty, Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth. And this is the Chapel Royal. Look at the timber, look at the joinery here.
I am Arabella Hunt, I performed for 5 ruling monarchs. I am Arabella Hunt, my life was on display. Sure, the Taylor Swift of my day, a superstar in every way. So I want you to tell me, was it worth it? Arabella, what did you do?
I'm not a great fan of graffiti. I think defacing historical buildings is not really a good thing, but these bits here, I don't know when they were etched into this stone, but you can see there's quite a nice hand there. Albeit very small, might have been a child's one they drew around. And all kinds of little inscriptions here going back through the ages. Now, I always say it's a very bad idea to paint brickwork because it causes all kinds of problems with damp and maintenance issues, but in this particular case, in this light well, if you like, you can understand why they painted it, because they want to throw the maximum amount of light into this space that they possibly can. So I'm going to forgive them. Isn't that nice of me? So this is called the King's Staircase, and a beautiful bit of painting there, isn't it? Sort of trompe l'oeil almost. Obviously the King had his own staircase, the Queen would have had another one. Never pass on a staircase or you get ginger twins. Henry VIII was a bit of a ginger, wasn't he? So with around 800 people in court at any time, they all had to be fed, and this is one of the kitchens where they did it. You can see all the things for roasting the meat. And the king was a hunter. He was out almost every day hunting in the parks, mostly for venison. What a magical little courtyard. This actually gives you more of a feeling of what it was like than some of those bits which were a bit more crowded. Now I know on YouTube we're always getting accused of taking freebies and being a shill, and there's probably some justification in that, but I just went and brought the grandkids an ice cream outside of Hampton Court Palace here. The guy that owns the ice cream van recognised me. He gave me an ice cream, a free ice cream. I'm duty bound to declare that as perks. But I may also say that if you want an ice cream, there he is outside his stand. Good fella, reasonable prices and good quality.